to Drummers Only Radio. Drummers Only is the UK's leading drum shop with store locations in Glasgow and Leeds. Our podcasts are full of interviews, gear reviews, and much more from the unique perspective of a drum shop. The show is hosted by two pasty Scottish dudes who talk real fast. Whoa, slow down there, Braveheart. So here's Chris, the Glasgow shop manager, and Adam, the social media manager. Be sure to like, subscribe, and let's do this.
Drummers Only Radio, episode number 53. And we are here with another wonderful homegrown talent, Mr. Mat Hector. Evening, mate. How are you?
Hi, man. How you doing? It's great to be on here. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. If you don't know who Matt is, he has got some righteous gigs under his belt. He's currently playing for Mr. Iggy Pop. He is the drummer for Razorlight. He's played with Thomas Dolby. I'm going to hopefully pronounce this right. Guter Dameron.
That's right. Yeah, that's good. That's not bad at all, man.
The silent film. Which looks amazing, which has some amazing artists on it. The Aladdin Sane tour with the legend that is Mike Garson, who played on the Aladdin Sane album, if you don't know who Mike Garson is. Mark Almond and Hotai, yeah. He's an incredible,
essentially he's the David Bowie of Japan. Absolute megastar out there and doing really well over here as well.
Amazing. And you're also a teacher too, just to like ice the cake.
Well, you've got to do something in time off, haven't you?
And you teach at the legendary ACM, Academy of Contemporary Music?
I'm not actually with ACM nowadays, but
you moved on.
I've kind of taught over there over the years and done masterclasses and stuff like that. And all the gigs you mentioned, as you have to do in this industry, you kind of hop between gigs. So the marvellous Razorlight are now having a full reunion, so they've got the incredible Andy Burrows back.
Oh, wow, okay, so, I didn't know. I'm sorry, mate.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, so, I mean, one of the things that happens as a kind of, I hate using the, gun for hire. That's an American kind of term. But as a side guy, as a session kind of guy, I'll get brought in as and when people are needed. So I joined Razorlight for a couple of tours last year. Was due to do the next tour, but then unfortunately something happened in the world. I'm not sure what.
I don't know, mate.
So and in that interim, they've had a full reunion with the original lineup with Andy Burrows and the original bass player as well, which is incredible and good for those guys really as well. Having the original lineup, I think it's a good call for them. I mean, Andy's an incredible drummer as well.
Yeah, he's a tasty player. But,
yeah. No.
So I mean, just like reading down that list, man, I don't think there's two gigs on that the same.
No, that's very true.
That's pretty amazing,
Yeah, it's I've been really lucky, really. I've worked hard, and that's my main talent. I wouldn't say I do okay at drums. I do okay, but I think I'm more talented at just being dogged and working hard. And as these opportunities have come up, I've just been lucky enough to kind of grab them. And you're right, they're all very different in terms of style and what you have to do to kind of maintain the gig, play well on it, suit and serve the artist. So, yeah, going from Iggy to Razorlight, for instance, although there's an energy thing that's very similar, especially between Johnny and Iggy, but one's kind of poppy indie and one's, Iggy's definitely not poppy indie. He's kind of intense punk, full-on visceral energy. So both those gigs have required different parts of my playing, or at least me to mould myself into the gig to make it work as best possible.
Is that a tough thing to do, to switch hats quickly?
It's not been something that's been mega tough for me, mainly because I think I started out, I just love playing drums, like probably most of us listening. and it's still the same now. I read a really great quote by Joe Robinson who said, if someone rings him up for a gig and he's free, he'll always do it. And I heard that as a young guy, and I like that. So I'm happy to play. So I'm not too particularly fussy. I don't have to play just punk music or just pop or funk or metal. I just want to play drums and make music. So whatever comes along, I'll give it my all. I'll do my best to understand the style. Some stuff I've already had a good grounding in, but other stuff you have to kind of immerse yourself in the history and the sound and kind of get an understanding of the style, where it's come from, how the best players have played it, and then do your best to kind of engage with that and give it heart and soul.
Yeah, totally. It was one of the things I was thinking about, just about a gig like Iggy's gig. There's some, for want of a better phrase, he's a kind of heritage artist. He's been around a long time.
Absolutely, man.
And he was a pioneer for his genre and for the time that he was, like, what he came to prominence in. But with that comes sort of audience. So you kind of have to pay mind to, like, those people that bought those records.
Completely.
Like, bought the vinyls. Like, there's some real sort of iconic grooves. Like, everybody in the world, probably in the Western world anyway, has heard the Lust for Life intro.
Yeah. That was by far the best thing to play. I mean, if you're at an Iggy Pop gig and the drums start, everyone knows what that is.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows that groove straight away. And, the thing with Iggy, you know, I was on that gig, we've been doing that gig for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And when we started this, it had a whole succession of great bands. But the last American band, they definitely kind of did their own take on the material. Mm. And when we started, he came to Kevin Armstrong, the MD, who was a friend of mine, and Kevin set out off the bat to serve that music and try and deliver it in the style, with the intensity, with the sound of the originals. You know, not slavishly, but still. So that meant these last 5 years, we've delivered those songs very much in the spirit of the originals. So that's kind of tempos, the feel, the parts. We've really kind of paid homage to, you know, some great drummers, Hunt Sales, you know, the Lust for Life guy, you know, Scott Ashton, you know, some of the intensity of the grooves that he did on things like Down on the Street. Yeah. You know, these guys are proper legends. So it was an honour to kind of try and, you know, I could never replicate that stuff, but just do my best to serve it and be excited about playing the drums for those songs, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like, man, some of those, sort of like The Passenger and all that, like, those are just real iconic tunes, man. Like, it must have been a real treat. Like, how is he with it? Like, is he whip cracking, or is he like, whatever? Because he's a punk, right? So, like,
yeah, what he really wanted on stage, particularly, he just wants energy.
Yeah.
You know, he would, you know, it's as simple as that. He wants, so, you know, he'd turn around, he'd grab hold of the bass drum literally and be screaming more, louder, faster, harder. You know, he'd kind of, it's just, he wants to turn around and see what's, you know, what he's giving out as well.
Yeah.
So our job, especially my position, because Iggy used to be a drummer as well. He started on drums,
right?
If you know that.
Okay.
My job was to supply that energy and to try. I mean, I never match him, but to try and deliver that same passion, that same intensity, that same drive, all the way through that hour and a half set. And I'm not kidding, man. I mean, I had to learn how to play drums for that stuff afresh.
Right.
I had to get fit. you know, before that gig, you know, I wasn't a technician, but I was a lot neater. And we saw back a video of the first gig we did, and, you know, I'm sitting there, my Morellas, you know, it's cool, man, I'm flowing, it's like, yeah, that looks perfect. And it's like, that looks so wrong, you know? So straight away, cymbals after that gig, cymbals went higher, no ghost notes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was kind of hammer gripping the sticks, but it was a lot more brutal. Everything became big motions. So I had to change what I did to give out that energy. You know, half the time you're playing on a big stage, you're trying to, it's a performance, you know? Yeah. And on a big stage, it's not just about projecting that volume and intensity. People want to see, they want to, especially they don't want the drummer sitting there all neat and tidy. They want some kind of, something visual as well. So I had to kind of develop that side of my playing.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the video that's on your site, the first one that's up, and there's like, I think it's about 20 minutes of a festival.
Probably, was that the one at...
I Want to Be Your Dog?
Sydney Opera House.
Yeah, sorry, that's it.
Yeah.
And the energy he comes just running on the stage with.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, man, this guy is not here to mess around, is he? Like, he's here to go. Did you have to, like, can you practice that? Like, that energy, is that a thing where you get in a room on your own and put those tracks on and just work it out, or is it just in the gig?
No, I mean, I kind of learnt on the job a little bit in terms of, it wasn't so much the energy, I mean, which came over time. It was the thing with him was learning not to kind of give everything in the first two songs, or at least not you know, you have to look like you are, because with when you've got Iggy Pop on your bass drum screaming at you, you know, I'm like, you know, you kind of fight back. Yeah, we're gonna. So if you're not careful, you're 3 songs into it and you're exhausted.
Yeah.
So I learned that. I learned quite quickly. If I didn't at least internally save some energy, I'd be gone within half an hour. Because his sets could be hour and a half sometimes, and they're all. It's pretty intense, start to finish. So I had to learn how to look like I was always going crazy, but saving some back.
Yeah.
You had to pace yourself, because you know it was not a technical gig. It was, like I keep saying the word visceral, but that's a good description of it. It's physical, it's passion filled, it's energetic. There's aggression in there as well, and if you just give that off the bat, you're never going to last that amount of time. So I had to learn how to do that.
Do you ever feel like you're fighting the kit?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from the stage was loud,
Right.
so we have monitors, and we're not on ears for something like Iggy. Obviously, it's proper rock and roll. You don't mess around with in-ears for that kind of nonsense. And he'd have 2 side fills that was essentially another PA pointing onto stage,
wow.
and he wanted to be enveloped. You know, he wanted to feel the sound from everywhere.
Wow.
So I've got a double Ampeg stack next to me, you know, massive guitar amps. And, you know, a lot of the time I'm hitting the tom and hitting drums, and I'm not hearing them anywhere near from the drum.
Wow.
It was really physical. So you're not only fighting, because even with the best technique in the world, you know you can't get any more volume out of it, and physically hitting it's not going to make a difference, but you can't, you forget that. So I'm battering the hell out of these big drums, you know. The last kick was a 26-inch kick,
Right.
14 and 18.
Jesus.
Big cymbals, nothing below a 20-inch.
Wow.
So everything's big, everything's far away, and you have to batter everything. So it did feel like a fight, yeah. I mean, which where I came from before as a drummer, that, you know, I just wasn't like that at all. So, you know, bigger sticks, bigger everything, louder everything, and you know, kind of you leave everything on the stage with him.
Yeah, right. I feel it feels like you've got to absolutely implicitly trust the front of house boys as well, or girls, like the front of house team. You know, because if you can't hear a tom that's right in front of you, like, do the audience hear it? And then that has the mental game of like, I'm gonna have to hit this harder.
Yeah. No, I mean, luckily, kind of, my brain cells, the few brain cells I've got were kind of taken up by, you know, not messed up the arrangement, hitting it hard, making sure I kept an eye on what was going on stage. And so, I mean, we had a really great Max Bisgrove, an incredible front house guy. In fact, the whole team had been with Iggy actually for years before us. So It was a well-oiled machine. It was good. It was a really good family. So you know, good guys.
I noticed as well. I think do you run some electronics on that gig too?
Only so. With it being Iggy, obviously the last thing you want is a lot of samples going on. So every now and again I'll have a tambourine here or there. On Lust for Life, a tambourine comes in on the backbeat. I don't know, halfway through the first verse. But my God, it makes a huge difference.
Really?
Yeah, massive. If you listen to Divisional, you'll hear it when the tambourine comes in. And just little organic things like that I could trigger off. And I had an SPDSX in a flight case that you couldn't see, so it didn't look like there was loads of electronics everywhere. So I'd had some samples going off, but I say samples, they were things like tambourines, claps, hand claps. We do a song called 1969, and there's a backbeat hand clap which we'd have running as well, just because we couldn't do it with the amount of people on the stage. It was quite a small band, but by no means tracks or any of that kind of nonsense. Just
it just surprised me to see anything at all in the rig.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it would have been like back to his basic old school punk vibe as it can be. You know, I
mean, apart from, I was the only one that's kind of stuck with any of that kind of stuff. In every other way, you know, I still laugh. I said this the other day. I bumped into Josh Grain, who's his long-time, Iggy's long-time roadie, and also doubled as a drum tech. And we used to laugh. We'd turn up to festivals, you know, we'd quite often be either headline or second from top or whatever. And we'd turn up and, you know, these great bands like the Arctic Monkeys would be there perhaps, or some other massive band. There'd be like 10 Arctics, you know, all full of backline, all full of production. And literally, Clyde, our driver, would turn up with the Transit with our gear in. You know, that was it. So we just get, you know, it'd be like a a 4-piece band, gear on stage, that's it. Nothing else, apart from a couple of samples. So it was really all about, all you need with Iggy is Iggy. You don't need fancy lights, you don't need lasers. You just need him on stage with a band playing the songs well. And that's what we did.
You gotta love that, man.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's so refreshing.
But that is the rock and roll thing, just making a noise, just 4 of us with Iggy singing. And there's nowhere to hide with that.
No.
And that does double up the fact that you have to bring it, and you have to bring heart and soul to it. Because if one of you's kind of just not quite there, then that's quarter of the band gone. There's no tracks, there's no singers, there's no lights. It's the band, and that's it.
Yeah, and you don't want to be the guy that's not bringing it either.
Oh no,
because there's like another 3 boys being like, "Come on, man!" On your key. I'd imagine that it's, as much as these bands are units, you've got to bring it, because you're just going to let them down otherwise. It's a proper
Completely,
team,
Yeah,
proper
completely.
team.
And every gig has felt like an honour to be on stage with him.
Yeah. I'd imagine it was pretty amazing, man. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So before that, it was Thomas Dolby.
Yeah.
And that's like Mr. Electronics, right?
Yeah, so that's complete opposite. Utter opposite. Yeah, so that was so the first tour I did with Thomas was completely electronics, no acoustic drums whatsoever.
Nothing. Wow.
I think it was a TD20 at the time, which was the latest Roland kit then, and it looked like the Starship Enterprise. I had like pads everywhere. I had a SPD at the time. I think I had an SP30 as well, a computer. I was surrounded kind of in the round by electronics. Everything was a switch, turning something on or off. And that was really, apart from the fact that Thomas's music is predominantly electronic, he really liked the idea of being able to control the sound to the minutiae of every gig.
Really?
So, yeah, that was insane. And that's, I really learnt about my sampling and electronics on that gig completely. But yeah, the utter opposite, completely precise. The musicians were incredible in that band. Thomas was incredible. Apart from the fact he's an incredible musician and songwriter, he's an incredible producer as well. He produced Prefab Sprout, Steve McQueen, a really famous album.
Yeah.
He's produced Joni Mitchell.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so he's like an audio guy. He's incredible.
Yeah,
so,
legit.
Yeah, completely, man. We did the first session I did with him was at Real World for his album, and the engineers there said, we were chatting off, said his ears are incredible. He hears everything. He said we're learning off of him, and these are some of the best engineers in the world.
Yeah, that must be exciting for everyone. So, okay, so you're like, say you're a young guy or girl and you're getting into the industry, and someone hands you a gig where you're like, yeah, bro, you're not playing acoustic drums at all.
Yeah.
Like, surely it's a bit of a squeaky bummer where you're like, all right, I'm going to have to learn really fast.
Pretty much. That was exactly what happened. And the thing about these things when they come up and they're challenging, and it's like, oh my God, how am I going to get over this? There's so much to do. I've got to learn so much. I've got to get this. I've got to learn this. Then I've got to play, let alone all the other stuff around it. And I've come to realise that's the best spot when everything's crazy, when I've got so much to learn. I've got to play this better. I need to check this chart. I need to get this bit of key. When you feel like you're in a hurricane, I now know that's where I'm really happy.
Right.
That's
amazing.
Because it's the kind of, although it feels like you're stressed at the time, you're stressed because you're doing the thing we all love to do, And, I've been really lucky to make a living out of playing drums. And, there's not been a single day I've not been grateful for that.
I think it shows that you care too. If you, because if you were blasé about it, you'd be as well going to pull pints or something.
Well, absolutely. And, I'm sure I'm like a lot of guys that do this, that I can't imagine doing anything else. I don't want to do anything else. None of this feels like work. I'm sitting in a studio full of drums.
They look great too.
This isn't a job. This is not a proper job. So if you're not grateful for that, then yeah, like you say, go and do something else.
Absolutely. And here's the cool thing as well, like a gig like that, man, just means that there's some strings to the bow that you didn't have. And you spend 4 or 5 years playing on those tours, recording gigs, recording live albums, and then before you know it, you're like, oh, I can do that, man. I did that. That's easy. Yeah. I've done it. Yeah, tick. and, you know, and there's a bag of tricks now that if an artist calls you and it is all production,
yeah,
you're not going to freak out.
That worked. That was an advantage for me when I did Götterdämmerung. So the Götterdämmerung show, in essence, there's this incredible black and white film shot by a friend of mine, Bjorn Tagamose, and Bjorn managed to get. He's an incredible photographer as well. He managed to get just about every big rock metal star in the world on this film. So, you know, Iggy, Henry Rollins, Grace Jones, Josh Homme, Slash, Tom Araya, you know, it just goes on.
Yeah.
So he put these crazy people in this film, and then we supplied on a live stage the soundtrack, playing all the music to this film. Now, sometimes you could see us through the screen. Sometimes the screen would come up and we'd play. But that whole thing, because we were playing with a film, we were completely synced to the film. So when we started that, myself and Kevin, who's Iggy's MD as well, he's the musical director of the film. I ended up being the tech guy. We had to basically build a Logic project that synced exactly with the film, with clicks for me, so we could start and stop. You know, sometimes we have to stop mid-song for a gunshot to go off, you know. So the whole thing was really technical, and the whole Thomas gig definitely helped me with that, with my appreciation of MIDI and running technology live. And without that experience, the Götterdämmerung thing, I mean, it would have been fine, but I was able to bring a technical perspective married with my musical understanding to that gig, which helped make it happen. Yeah,
totally. It's got to fit with the vibe too, because you can't bring a conductor on a show like that. It's just not the vibe, because it's a rock show. So it's like, it feels like it's quite close to theatre.
Yeah,
obviously, because there's moving pictures and all that, but you can't have someone up the front waving. It would just look really weird, man.
No, funnily enough, we had at certain points they'd have kind of like a demonic opera singer appearing, and they had monks kind of wandering across the stage. It was very much, you're right, it was like a theatre thing. I mean, we did download with it, and also Isle of Wight actually, and people absolutely went mental for it. I mean, if you can imagine the whole, a big stage, the whole stage being covered by this screen, with a mental kind of metal rock and roll band playing the music at the same time, and lights and pyros and kind of weird monks walking around. When we did the premiere in London, they had monks out the front, and as people kind of came through, they put charcoal crosses on their head. You know, it was just kind of hammy but really fun.
Yeah, and it's not something you're going to see every day.
No. Yeah, I think so. The thing, it's such a big show. I think there's still we had a big long period of working with it. I think they're looking just for another outlet for it at the moment. It could be something like a Broadway show or something in the West End, and a place where it's kind of resident. I think.
Sorry, I meant like more of that kind of filmy performance arty vibe. You know, where you're, you know, like a different film maybe, or like, you know, provide that, like, you know, do Nosferatu or something and play along to that.
I mean, there's been a few of those things about, isn't there? Because I've done. Didn't they do it with Star Wars or something like that with an orchestra? Or
oh yeah, I mean, I saw Blade Runner recently with a live band.
Oh, wow, what was that like?
And they played like the whole Vangelis score. It was incredible. The percussionist, they had a drummer and, well, they had two percussionists, but one of them doubled on drums. They had obviously like three synths, but they had guitar, bass, they had a horn, a beautiful singer. Because there's a track, I think there's one of the tracks that's got vocals on it, and like you know, the opening of the big gong at the opening of the film and all that was just incredible to see. You know,
wow,
it was amazing. I've seen Star Wars, a couple of Star Wars ones. I've seen, you know, the episode 4 and 5. I've seen A New Hope and Empire, and it's amazing to watch. You know,
wow.
Jurassic Park I saw as well.
Jeez, man, you've been busy.
Oh, this is all over the last sort of 5 years and stuff. But you have you seen? Did you get to see the Hans Zimmer show?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, was it as good as I heard it was?
Maybe one of the best gigs I've ever seen in my life.
Jeez, man.
If it comes round again, man, you should, and you're not working, you should go.
Oh no, I'd love to. I'll make a note of that, because I mean it looked incredible. I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who was playing drums again. Satnam Ramagotra.
Yeah, I
think that's how you say his name. He was playing drums. What's the girl's name? The bass player, Yolanda Harris was playing bass. Guthrie Govan was on it. Do you know who Holly Madge is?
Don't know Holly, no.
She's a young British percussionist. She was playing percussion. So when they did like Man of Steel, they had like 2 girls playing percussion as well as Satnam playing drums, and the whole there was like a 30-piece orchestra behind them. They had and they did like the Lion King, where the guy came out and did the vocal from the opening of Lion King and all that. And they were it was amazing. They played some Inception music. They played some Dark Knight score. Really amazing.
Ah, jeez, man.
Like the production quality is, but like, so that stuff's really in vogue. And if you've got a history of it, it'd be cool to do more of that. You know?
Yeah, the show's too good. You know, it's had this kind of break. I'm convinced it would come back. I mean, it's hammy and it's fun, and it's full of metal. You know, we did everything from Zeppelin to kind of Slayer. You know, it went really heavy and very light, but it was just really fun. And also Henry Rollins came out on the road with us as well, so he was in. So I mean, it's funny, scary, black, dark. Yeah. I mean, it's a great show. I mean, hopefully we'll do it again. You come.
It must be mental though to do things like Slayer tunes and Tom Araya in film.
I mean, just playing Slayer anyway. I mean, again, because that's not where I've come from. Yeah, so I remember listening and just doing some kind of rough charts for Rain in Blood. Yeah, and it's like I was going, what? Listening, and what's happening now? Jeez, what? Really? Yeah. You know, it's kind of like an exercise in mathematics. It's brilliant. So playing that was really fun. I mean, that was happening around the Iggy time when we were on the road with Iggy as well at one point. So we were bouncing from an Iggy gig and then going and doing the Good to Damon show as well, which was, I mean, that was kind of mind melting, going from kind of that craziness to being essentially behind a screen. Yeah. For some of the gig as well, but
yeah, amazing. And then you do like the Aladdin Sane thing. So like some of that stuff doesn't get more iconic, does it?
I mean, playing with Mike was he's possibly one of the greatest musicians I think I've ever worked with. I remember when we were in rehearsals and he came down for the first day. I remember the techs and our sound guys, because we had a grand piano in the rehearsal room, and he just joined us and started playing, and their jaws, they were behind him so they could see what his hands were doing as well. Yeah. And they were just like, just the most incredible musician. I mean, there was a reason why he was Bowie's number one musician, all that time. Yeah. And I mean, Kevin, my friend, he described that he could bend time. When he was playing, he could bend time. And I really like that.
Well, you listen to the keyboard part of Aladdin Sane, and you're like, I don't know what he's doing at points, because he pulls and pushes those rhythms so well.
Yeah. Now, he was really fun to play with. I mean, I remember, when you play with certain musicians, you like you listen to a singer when the singer's singing, and as a drummer particularly, you're trying to listen to how they're phrasing, how they're feeling, how they're putting their vocals against what you're playing drum-wise, and to try and just keep an eye on it's working properly, that you can hear if they're comfortable or not. And it's the same thing with soloists. When the guitarist's soloing or whoever's soloing, it's good to be in tune with what they're playing and listening to how they're doing, and if you can feel what you're doing supporting them. And I just remember watching his hands flying around the keyboards and at certain points just trying to hit, as his hands would come up and down, trying to hit these accents and pushes. It was really a lot of fun and a learning experience for me as well, working with someone like that he came from a jazz background really, and the Aladdin Sane solo is an improvised jazz solo, which we do every night, and he'd do something different every single night. I mean, it's just, his mind's just another thing and from another place.
Yeah, you look at some of the guys that he's played with, some of the bands. He played with Smashing Pumpkins and stuff. He did tours with them.
And 9 Inch Nails as well.
Yeah, that's right. But he's also then played with like Gary Novak playing jazz music. Like, I know. Wow. Just mega. Real.
I mean, you definitely come across the guys in your career who you meet, and they're kind of moments where you just want to listen. This is the time to now shut up, and just listen to what they're talking about, and teaching drums and teaching an instrument's really important. And going for lessons, well, that's not important necessarily, but you can go to a drum lesson and learn stuff. But playing with other musicians who are better than you, always be the worst one in the room. Playing with musicians that are better than you and listening, because there's gems of knowledge there. And even if listening is noticing that you're getting a dirty look from the guitarist because you're speeding up, these lessons are kind of way more valuable than how to do a paradiddle.
Yeah, I remember I was listening to, I can never remember the guy's name. He's a keyboard player, piano player as well, and he played on the James Taylor tour, and he would sit behind, there was a tune where he wasn't needed,
Right.
there was no keyboards in it, so he would just sit behind Gad every night and just watch Gad from the riser. And it was just like, and it's this particular tune, Gad didn't play any hi-hats on. And like for the whole tour, he's like, I can't work out why he's not playing any hi-hats. Like, I can't wrap my head around what's going on. So they get to dinner on the last night, and he's like, Steve, man, like on that song, like you don't play any hi-hats. He's like, yeah, because I don't need to. The guitar player's doing it, or it's in the guitar part. He's like,
Yeah.
man, it's just this is like knowledge bomb, just like so simple. There's nothing contrived about it, and it's all about the music and about, like you talked about earlier, about serving.
Yeah, completely.
You know, and he's like, he's so comfortable in his own time as well that he doesn't even need to worry about where it's at.
I mean, most musicians are thinking about their time most of the time. To be able to do that and just relax and just go, you know. I mean, at his age, I mean, well, I suppose he was the same when he was 20, perhaps as well. But I mean, who knows? But I mean, what a feeling to be able to just relax like that. And
Yeah.
I mean, and also just, I mean, I think an understanding that you are a human being, and sometimes movement's okay in the right kind of, in the right moment. You know, I just read the Piccaro book, which is incredible.
Oh, I've not checked it out yet. I need to.
Yeah, man. Yes, it's about time, man. It's just.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
Read it. It's brilliant. I mean, scary at the same time. And what you know, 1, 2, 3 takes maximum.
Yeah.
Touring with Sonny and Cher when he was still in school. But his thing about time, about learning, that we're human beings, and we have emotional responses to sections of music, and letting them things move in the right way. And I mean, when I do kind of teach people, you know, I'll often ask the question, you know, well, you're doing that with your left foot, you know, you're keeping time. Why are you doing that? Are you doing that because that's a creative decision? You like the sound of it, or are you doing it because it's a crutch? What's going on there? So if they're doing it, it's because it's a decision, you know, and that can be speeding up as well. It can be a conscious decision to let the chorus move a bit and then bring the verse back down again. Yeah. If you're doing that on purpose, magic. You know, it's a decision then. It's when you do it and you're not controlling it. That's the place you know, we all try not to be in, and me too as well still. Yeah,
absolutely, totally. I mean, talking about the human element of it, I don't know if it's in the book, but there's the old stories of Piccaro where somebody would call him for a session and he would say no. Yeah. Like, if you want Keltner, go get Keltner. I'm not going to come and play like Keltner. Like, that's just bonkers. Just go and get Keltner. And like, how many players do that? How many players have that sort of bigger picture idea of it all, where it's just about playing some tunes? It's not about anything else, you know. And what's the best for that? Like the old, like, was it the Steely Dan thing where he was there all night trying to get a sound right or something?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's easy to give away a session if you're booked up for like 5 months.
And you're Jeff Piccaro.
Yeah. But no, you're right, because the story was that he was tracking a song, and I think he heard the song and played a take and said, "Do you know what, man? This is just Kelton. This is just Jim all over."
Oh, really?
So it was actually he was in the session.
Wow.
And he said, "What you want to get in Jim, man? This is completely him." So it wasn't even that he was actually already in the session and gave it up to get Jim in. I mean, bearing in mind, it's Jim Keltner. Of course, it's going to sound great, but still, to be that confident and happy enough to serve the music. I mean, that's obviously helped with a diary that's full up. He could afford to give that up as well. But still, an incredible thing to do.
Man, you just listen. I play in a covers band, and we play we Murder Africa.
Mate, I bet it's a beautiful thing. I bet you don't.
Oh, like I play those fills wrong every time it comes round, man. I always forget which one is the big fill. I think it's the first one is the big one, and then the other two are shorter. But it's like, even just like you go back and you listen to that groove, and you're like, damn it, just like there's not even a crash on the end. Like coming into the verse, there's just no cymbals hit.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you listen to Beat It, and you're just like, who's the drummer and who's the sample? You know, like you just can't. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, next level.
This is the joy of making music, isn't it? When you listen to these guys as well, and how incredible they are, and you know, that gives us all something to kind of aim towards. We'll never get there, but still, it's kind of great to try.
Absolutely, and so you try and you teach, so you're imparting that on to people now. So how do you bring these ideas and these skills that you've learned over the course of your career and shape young drummers? Because I guess you've got, you've talked about technique earlier, but you've also got enough wherewithal to be like, bin it, it's not needed right now. Like, yeah. So how do you navigate that and give that to those drummers that you're teaching?
I think my technique over the years, because of the gigs I've done, and because it's not been necessary, it's kind of, I'm technically, I'm half the player I was, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But musically, I'm still moving in the right direction. It's a constant journey for all of us. We've got our own path, and we all seek to get better compared to ourselves. But I suppose the young guys that I come across that ask for me for advice, because now I'm an old guy with grey hair, I think I suppose I'm just trying to impart, apart from the fact being grateful, enjoying it, and being enthusiastic, which I'm massively enthusiastic about, making music. It's just learning, it's passing on the stuff that I know is important now and the stuff that I know is not important. And quite often, we talk about it a lot nowadays. I think it's quite cool that people understand about being a good pro and, not being a dick, getting on with people, being on time, before you play a beat, being a good hang, all that kind of stuff, which maybe 20 years ago didn't get talked about as much. Now I think people are saying it enough for it to kind of be more widely understood that, it's not just about being the best guy with the chops. In fact, 99 times out of 100, it's not. Be good enough to hold the gig and do a good job, but then just be a cool person, man. Don't be a dick. Be nice to people. Be supportive. Be encouraging. I try to put my life experience and who I am into playing drums now. I try and sound like me. When I was young, I tried to sound like somebody else. So I sound like me because of the experience I've had in my life, things I've got right, things I've got wrong. No one else sounds like me. Thankfully for them, luckily for them. And that's what I want people to be, individuals. And so I think I've just tried to be supportive of people finding what they do, being confident, loving what they do, prepare them to take knocks, and just to go and do the best job in the world and not give up, because it is the best job in the world. Yeah,
I think that's gold. Prepare them to take knocks, man. I
take knocks every day.
Yeah, but nobody teaches it, right? Everybody's teaching you how to do a paradiddle. And how to play, this and how to play that, but no one I say no one. I've been out of drum lessons for a long time, but I it's not until I was at university level where I got some actual reality.
Yeah.
And those lessons are incredibly valuable, more so than how to play a paradiddle.
Oh, completely. What we all play drums and learn drums to play music with other people, in front of people, or in a studio as well. We don't play this stuff. I mean, some guys do. Some guys get a huge amount of enjoyment from playing by themselves, and that's fantastic and good to them. But if anyone comes across my path who wants to have a lesson or whatever, I tell them, if I want to know what gigs you're doing. When I did some master classes at ACM, I had the third year degree guys. And the first thing I said to them, okay, when are you playing? When's your gig? Who are you playing with? What do you mean you haven't got a gig? Why not? That's the most important thing. Go and play. Go and play. Forget me. Just go and play drums. And you need to go out and play music and make music, because that's just the best thing in the world. Being on the stage, creating music with other people. It still makes me happy now and makes me excited now. That's just brilliant, isn't it?
It is amazing. It is amazing. I've talked at length with other guests about this, and we see it in the shop a lot of the time when people are coming in to learn to play, and you're like, "Oh, you playing with anybody?" And they're like, no, "What is that?" Because I don't even think High School Musical is promoting it the same way that they used to.
I mean, as far as I know, that's the impression I get as well, and it's pivotal. It changed. I had this conversation at a gig the other day that learning music changes your brain. I mean, literally, physically changes your brain in a positive way. So there's benefits there beyond just the enjoyment of it. There's physical, mental benefits from playing music, and the highs you get from it. God, I mean, we're talking about doing your early gigs. I still remember my first gig. in Gravesend, which is in Kent, in this place called the Cellar Bar, playing kind of Marillion and New Model Army with my mates. And the first break, I said, right, I'm never doing this again. I hate it. I was so paranoid. Everyone was watching me going, hey, shit, I know you messed up there. I was so paranoid. But then by the second set, once we'd finished, that's all I ever wanted to do ever again. Yeah. Because it's that shared experience with other people. It's that shared humanity of making music. I mean, music's universal. There's nothing better than it.
Yeah, when a room full of people are moving because you're playing, it's pretty cool, eh?
It's the best in the world. Yeah.
So you'd said that you've got a new project coming out.
Yeah. Well, this is something something new for me. So there's a company called ToonTrack.
Oh,
who make Superior Drummer, which is an incredible bit of drum software which you can use in Pro Tools or.
Well, I've got Easy Drummer too.
Oh, there you go, fantastic. Well, you'll be seeing my face again soon, unfortunately.
Amazing.
And we've just recorded a massive new sample library pack. So we did this. It's due to be released. We're speaking. What day is it today? It's the
28th of September, Tuesday the 28th. Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time you guys watch this, hopefully it's past the 5th of October when this is being released.
It will be, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We went to Rockfield Studios, which is one of the most famous studios in the world, where they recorded all the Queen stuff, Black Sabbath,
What's
Royal
the Story?
Blood,
Yeah.
Oasis. And we recorded it was a producer called Tom Dalgetty, who produced, amongst other things, the very first Royal Blood album, Pixies, Ghost, Rammstein, just an incredible producer. And we spent 2-3 weeks there recording more drums and cymbals than I think this is the record for one of their packs. So I think it was 7 drum kits, about 30 snare drums. Just I've lost count of how many cymbals.
Amazing.
So basically, it's a big library with these drum kits recorded in each different room in the studio by this incredible producer Tom, and so that's going to be coming out shortly. So, and also alongside that is a Mat Hector dark rock MIDI pack, which is
amazing, man. Good for you. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a cool thing, man. So I mean, the drums sound incredible as well. So we used about 3 of my Ludwig kits. We had a staccato kit, kit.
Wow.
Which
is that why it was on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Right. Well played. You kept that quiet. That's brilliant.
So there's kind of just an incredible array of cymbals and snare drums. So that's coming out shortly. And that's going to be a really big thing for ToonTrack and for all of us, I think. So
is that an SDX or is it an EasyX?
It's both. So it's a library for the Superior Drummer, but also a library for the Easy Drummer. But we'll chat about that later on. We'll sort you out, man. Don't worry.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that program. What's so exciting now is when you look at the Easy X's, things like the mixer part of it's getting bigger and bigger, so you're getting much more control now.
It's just incredible what you can do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of dabbled with it because you can also use it with electronic drums. You can use it to plug your Roland into it and trigger these sounds from your electronic kit as well. So it's an incredible thing. But yeah, so we recorded. Was it the Quadrangle Room where they recorded a lot of the Royal Blood stuff, and when you solo the mics that he's put up in the room, the kind of coals in the corner, it's just the most incredible thing. I mean, I've hit every single one of those hits. It took ages.
Yeah.
In the video where we did a kind of a making of, honestly, I look knackered. I filmed it at the end of this, and I've been hitting and sampling drums, but mainly because I think we wanted to. We did long days because we wanted to capture as many drums and cymbals as we could. Yeah. So it's a really big library. So it's probably one of their biggest kind of expansion pack libraries ever. It's called Fields of Rock because of the Rockfield thing.
Amazing.
So you'll see that soon. And
brilliant.
So what we've done. So I've recorded all the drums physically with Tom producing them. And then there's MIDI grooves within the pack, which is me playing. I played those here with my Roland kit. And then the standalone MIDI pack, the Mat Hector Dark Rock. It sounds funny when I say
that's
that
brilliant, man.
But so that's coming out
I think
soon.
one of the only other UK drummers to do it's Ash Sohn.
That's right. Yeah, I think he did an in the pocket one from
He's done 2. He did a UK pop one years ago, and he's just done a newer one.
That's right. So
amazing, man.
Yeah, so that's. I think Darby Tobb's done some. I'm not sure.
Right. Okay.
Maybe he's a session guy, but I mean, he's an insane drummer. So the pack the kind of expansion packs, Tom Dalgetty with myself recording the drums, and there's my kind of standalone thing as well. But yeah, man, so you'll hear this soon.
Oh, that's really exciting, man. That's great news. That's great news. Like I got super nerdy for a long time about this stuff, right? So I sound dead Scottish there, dead Scottish. You know how if you look at their pages, there's some sample tracks?
Yes.
So I went and found as many as I could and put a Spotify playlist together.
Oh, man.
Because
how cool.
you would never know that it wasn't acoustic drums on 100% of them. You would never know it was sampled, replaced at all. The level of detail is terrifying.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, now I've done it, you know. I mean, so we'd hit, for instance, the snare drum. I'd hit it in the centre. I think it was it 12 different velocities. So which was the learning curve from kind of like the lightest touch to the hardest hit. And you had eight hits each of those velocities, and there'd be like about 7 zones on the snare drum. I mean, honestly, I was hitting this just one snare drum. I think we worked out it was like 100,000 times I'd hit things, or something even more than that. And the hi-hats as well. These things took ages to record.
Yeah.
But that's the truth of it. So when you play, you know, a groove played by me in MIDI, and then it samples or it triggers the sounds that I played, that is, to all intents and purposes, I played, the groove is me playing, and the sound is me hitting the drum. They've just paired them together. So... yeah, it's an insane bit of technology. So.
Yeah, tremendous, absolutely tremendous. Oh, that's brilliant, man. I'm dead excited to see that now. That'll be great.
Yeah, you get my mush on it, unfortunately.
That's all right. That's all right. Handsome man. That's all good. It's all good. How did that even come around, man?
Well, so one of the guys from ToonTrack, Damien, he doesn't live far from here, but he also knows me from Gutta Dameron, and obviously the Iggy stuff as well. And it's just, I suppose I've been, you know, the Iggy gig's been a real helped me to increase the profile as a musician. That's and Gutta Dameron as well. And I think they were just looking for someone to marry up with Tom, the producer, in that kind of that rock, not just kind of hair rock. They wanted something darker, and Iggy definitely fits kind of in there. But the Gutta Dameron show particularly, playing all those different styles of music, from like I say, from you know, that kind of the Tom Rice stuff. I've got the name now.
Slayer?
Yeah, Slayer, thanks. Yeah, the Slayer stuff, all the way to Zeppelin. So that show kind of encompassed a lot of the vibe they were going for. And then on top of that, the kind of experience I had as a guy from the studio as well.
Amazing, man.
Yeah, and I mean, working with Tom was awesome. Tom was an incredible producer.
Right, yeah.
Listen to that first Raw Blood album and the sound. I mean, the fact... I remember listening to that the first time when it came out, and there's the two guys, and how the two guys make that sound. And meeting the guy that essentially kind of carved that sound out was was a real treat.
Amazing. Yeah, that is a real treat, man. That's brilliant. No, that's exciting. Because then it's like one of those things, your sound will be everywhere.
Yeah,
you know, when people start to use it, you know.
yeah.
So obviously, because we're a drum store, it would be remiss of us to not talk about gear.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're all here, right? But you're Ludwig, Istanbul, VK, Sennheiser.
Yeah.
Like the list is huge, man.
I mean, the companies I'll kind of hook up with, it's generally because of, well, there's a couple of reasons. One, because I've used their gear for years anyway, and just because of work, you know. Having the right equipment where you need it, when you need it, and having artist support makes a big difference when you're working around a lot. Yeah. But I'm really lucky. I've been with Ludwig for quite a while now, and the artist guy in the UK, Jamie, is incredible.
Legend. The legend that is.
Yeah, I mean, if he watches this, I can't be nice to him. You know, we're really good mates now. You know, I came back off on tour, and rather than seeing my other half, I took him out for a curry to say thanks for the drums. That didn't go down well. Yeah, he's a really good mate, and also Uli in the States, who's the head guy in Ludwig's incredible. And you know, I would play Ludwig drums regardless, and that's kind of my yardstick for when I kind of get involved with the companies. Would I use this stuff anyway? Yeah. Because a lot of guys get caught up with endorsements and, you know, wanting supposed free gear, and I'm not really interested in any of that. I'm just interested in performing well as a professional, and part of that's having the right equipment and then being able to get the right equipment. So, Ludwig I've got, so that in the kit directly behind me there, which I'm using to record at the moment, is the new Classic Oak, which is just punchy as hell. But then I've got down here a 60s Ludwig. In the corner there's a 70s Ludwig and also a Heyman kit there. Now, so I would, regardless of if I was with Ludwig or anybody else, I'd probably go to Ludwig anyway and use Ludwig drums because they sound incredible recorded. So that was just a no-brainer. Istanbul, I've been with the last few years. Their cymbals just kind of... Freddie Sheed put me onto Istanbul. We introduced her. A good mate. And those cymbals, they're just... you can turn this camera off and I'd say the same thing. No, but they just sound the most musical cymbals I've ever played. They're not deafeningly loud. Engineers love them because they don't dominate overheads. And they just sound incredible. I actually went out to Istanbul to meet the guys when I signed with them and saw them being made by hand, and it's not a gimmick. It's not, some companies would say it's the things they're made by hand. I actually watched the guys in the room hammering them. And in fact,
a couple of the boys went as well to the factory.
Just incredible. So
sorry, I stole your thunder there. What were you going to show me?
No, I was just going to grab some. Which is so here. This is my attempt. That's my attempt at hammering a cymbal. God, it was awful. It's quite embarrassing. It's happened to my birthday as well, so they kind of stamped it on me as well. But,
I've heard it's hellish. Like, it's really difficult.
These dudes are sitting there. They're just like, obviously, master craftsmen hammering them out. It looks so easy. I'll have a go at that. Jeez, it almost bust my finger to kind of so clumsy. But yeah, so I mean, I'm really, really proud and lucky to be involved with these guys. Who I call friends. They're not, and the equipment I would use regardless. So.
Yeah, one of the things that strikes me about that company is things like the signature series that they put out. They don't just throw it out. Everything's super considered by the looks of it.
Yeah.
They're not just going to make a cymbal because they can. It's it feels like it has to have a reason to exist.
Completely, and every range is very different. I'm completely in love with the 30th anniversary range. Which everybody is, I think. I mean, they're just the most incredible musical cymbals. I've got a batch from down here, which are just the most musical cymbals I've ever used. But then you can go to the Exis range, which are kind of bright, modern sounding cymbals as well. So they cover everything for me now.
What did you use on Iggy?
So I started with Sabian,
okay.
And then when I switched to Istanbul, I was using a Joey Wonka ride.
Yep.
Not easy to say.
24 or something.
Yeah,
it's like
huge.
It's
a monster, man.
Yeah.
But it's one of the sweetest rides I've ever had. But what the guys said when I went down to Istanbul, funnily enough, is they'd never had a drummer, because obviously you go through, you see the cymbals and you pick your cymbals, and they bring them out and you'd hit them and do what you want with them. And obviously they've got a lot of jazz guys on there on their roster, and they've had some more rock guys more recently. And he said to me, Barack, the artist guy, said to me, he's never seen anybody that's made every single cymbal sound like a crash. So they must have bought these big rides, and I'm kind of like hammering the hell out of them because that's what I was going to use them for. Yeah. But yeah, so those and some traditionals for the crashes, and I was using the Cindy Blackman range on the hats.
Yeah, the OMs.
Which that's it, which are incredible. So yeah, they're fantastic, man. Love them.
Yeah, they are beautiful. I remember hearing Warrenker hats and thinking they're just not what I expected to hear. They're just like way, way closer to like New Beats or something, but they still sounded super musical.
Well, this is the thing about them. They're really, I've got everything covered really, and I think the telltale sign for me is when engineers keep going, man, they sound good. When engineers are telling you they're happy, whether that's in the studio, whether that's on the stage, you're onto something. When they're saying it sounds great, when they're saying the cymbals aren't dominating, they're just kind of sweet. They sound really. And that can happen a lot with some guys if you batter the cymbals too much, regardless. But with these, they've got a texture to them, a kind of buttery feel, which is unlike any cymbal I've ever played before. And I think it's the way they're made that just makes you want to hit the things. It's a
Totally.
It's a different experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that thing about not taking over overheads is super important, and that's like young guys won't get yet if they've not done recording and for they've not done enough sessions or been in the studio enough to realise that can be hell on a mix.
Completely. Yeah. I mean, you also have to learn as you get better at playing drums and you record more about how you mix yourself. Yeah. How you don't overhit cymbals and stuff like that. But you've got a head start with the Istanbuls. They're gorgeous, man. Yeah, if you guys haven't tried them, I'm sure you guys do them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Actually, I was selling some today. A customer was in picking up some today. So they're great. They're great. Really fantastic. So brilliant. Well, where can people, if they want to find you, get in touch? Where does that happen?
Well, I'm mathhector.com. Mm-hmm. Oh God, whenever I say my name, it feels a little bit embarrassing. mathhector.com. There's all my contact stuff's on there. There's stuff about what I'm up to as well. And there's email and contact details on there. Come and say hello. It'd be lovely to speak to you.
You do remote lessons too, huh? So if they want to get in touch over that,
and
brilliant.
When I've kind of I spent a lot of time in the studio recently, obviously before everything opened up anyway, but it's definitely meant there's been a lot more session works coming in here, so I kind of squeeze your lesson in when I can in between stuff that's going on. But yeah, I still love it, man.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been a real treat. I'm really excited for your new project. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, man. Well, let's chat later about that. But mate, it's been lovely to be on here. So thanks for having me, dude.
And if you're up in town, man,
completely.
If next time you're up touring,
I'm coming to see you. We're having a beer.
Yeah, absolutely. But
okay, so we can say we can't
invited. Yeah, totally. Yeah, but I'm not inviting Nathan.
No, we'd probably have one shandy and he'd be pissed anyway. So I should be able to get you it if you'd like. Have you got the Superior drum, or have you got?
I've got Easy Drummer 2, but I don't have Superior. I've got Easy Drummer 2.
Do you want? I'll sort it out for you.
If there's one going, I'll take. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'll because I'm the kind of supposed the guy in front of it. I think I'll get a certain amount of people that I'll be able to kind of just hook up with it as well.
Yeah, amazing.
So if you seem and you're into it as well, I can tell.
Yeah,
so
I love it. I've
you
got
made
a bunch
fucking
of
playlist, man. I mean, that's serious.
Yeah, totally. I actually need to send it to ToonTrack and just be like, here's all the tracks I could find that you put on your website that you use your product, for people to listen to, So
yeah, they'd really dig that. They're good guys. They weren't sure if you had an affiliation with Get Drums or something at the shop. Was that a different?
No. We have no association with any third-party software company or anything. We don't stock it or sell it. I mean, I don't even know if it was something how we would go about that. Because I don't even know what the market's like for it. If it's so
because it's all online anyway, so they download it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, totally. I think there's the odd shop sell it. Like I know that there's that company in Germany called Drum Tech that they sell it, but they sell like. It's all they sell is electronic gear, so they don't actually sell acoustic drums. But I don't know if it's something we should sell or not. I don't know. I don't know what the benefit for us would be
I'm not
in
sure
that respect. They sell direct, man. So it just would get when it comes out. We'll let people know. We'll share it on the socials and let people know.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I'll let them know that as well. Yeah, any kind of help putting it out there via your socials would be really appreciated as well. So
absolutely. But listen, man, thanks so much. Have a great night, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers, dude. I'll sort the audio out and ping it to you a bit later on. Cheers, man.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Drummers Only Radio.
You can find us online at www.drummersonly.co.uk.
Drop us a line. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Drummers Only UK.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We're on Apple, Spotify and YouTube.
Any questions? info@drummersonly.co.uk is the email, or if you need leads, it's leads@drummersonly.co.uk.
Thanks again for listening,
and we'll see you next time.